Welcome to Opinion Havers, a movie podcast for Spanish men in suspenders. I'm Cody.
Yo soy Tyler.
Hey, there it is. Tyler, what did we watch?
Nostras vimos the devil's backbone.
Wow. Tyler, I feel like this movie is paying dividends to your Spanish skills. El Espinazo del Diablo, is that what it is? Oh, hold up, but it's in Spain. El Espinazo del Diablo. Nailed it!
Yeah. See.
Simon El Espinazo. Yep, there it is. All right. Wow. Tyler, we did it. It's Halloween. Spooky season, as some people call it. We're doing our spooky films. This one's been on my list for a hot minute. For a hot minute and a half. It's one of the oldest movies on my list in terms of like things I've been interested in watching. And we did it. And I'm very proud of us. We proved several things, I think, as we will discuss. First off, we proved, number one, I'm braver than you because I watched this alone with surround sound at night. All right? You were out here, you're watching this as a day movie.
Yeah,
right?
which we'll get into that. Cody,
What did you find?
I tried to put in Spooky Boys into the translate that I've been using. You know,
Yes.
shockingly,
Oh,
I
yes,
don't speak
please.
Spanish very well. Cody, I don't even. Chicos. I know Chicos.
Yep, boys.
That's boys. Spooky is a word. And I'm just like,
Are you going to drop it in the chat?
okay, I'll drop it in the chat. Because
Drop
I'm
it in the
like,
chat and I want to give this a whirl.
I'm sure
even
you'll be
know how
like,
you'd
oh,
say it."
idiot. It's so easy. But it's just like, I saw it and it's like, I'm sure I can pronounce it. Like, I'm usually all right.
What is
But
this word?
it's like,
Do you want
Hold on.
to try first or do you want me to try first?
I did the thing where it says it to you and it does no help. It's like if you ask somebody from Spain, be like, can you say that slowly for me? And they're like, sure. And then they speak their normal speed, which is
Yeah.
intelligibly fast. It's like, what are you
Yeah.
saying? Espeluznantes. I think
Espeluznantes.
yeah, that's what the
Chicos
lady.
Espeluznantes.
That's Spooky
I've
Boys.
never once in my life. Spanish is like fairly easy to pronounce once you know how to do it, but that is a long word and there's a lot going on with it.
Okay, let me hit you with this.
Espeluznantes.
You switch it around. You translate direct translation back. Creepy guys. That's what it direct translates back as. Okay.
Which I guess is more of an apt name for us. Is Creepy Guys.
Maybe we'll just abandon that part.
Welcome to the Creepy Guys podcast. I'm Cody.
It was supposed to be Spooky Boys in Spanish. If you speak Spanish and you're from Spain, if you speak Spanish,
Yeah.
what is Spooky
This is what-
Boys? Really?
Yeah, this is what bugs me about Spanish. Is like there's so many words with S's and Z's in them, so it's like you're not lisping, then you are lisping, then you're not lisping again. And it's just if I were from Spain and I had to like say an S, then lisp an S, then say an S, I would like really question myself and be like, is this worth doing? You know? Is this really the way we should be speaking our language?
Let's be real for a second, all right? Not to call out an entire country, all right? But we've done it with France before, okay?
Yeah.
Can we agree that much like America nailed English in a way that England never could, Mexico has nailed Spanish in a way that Spain could never hope to, all right?
Yeah.
You talk to
Definitely.
somebody from Spain, there's got to be a reason that they talk super fast and they mumble because they're all just like, look, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but you're gonna feel dumb if you try to question it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah,
feel like
it's
that's
not-
what they're banking on.
It's not unlike France, where it's like, no, we just don't pronounce a lot of our words and letters.
Yeah.
Once you're through the first half of your word, you might as well just give up. You don't even need to do anything else, you know?
Have you ever heard? We had a guy from Spain at church, and he would like give talks and stuff in Spanish sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite thing was to look at the like the missionaries from our church that were supposed to be able to speak Spanish while this guy is going off. It sounds like he's having a rap battle with Tech Nine and Eminem, okay?
Nice.
And you just look at them and they're just like slack jawed in awe at this man. They have not understood a word he's saying. We're not even sure he's speaking Spanish. He could be speaking English.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I'm saying. That's the kind of culture we're dealing with here. Okay.
Yeah. There were a couple actors in this movie that I was like, man, you guys are cruising and mumbling through all these words. You're just doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Ooh. Tyler, do you want to give a rundown of the movie for the good folks? Because let me tell you, I read the description of this movie on HBO Max, and I was like, we're screwed. This is going to be the worst. I'm going to be terrified. I'm going to hate it. The whole movie's going to be awful. Do you want to give me a better rundown, or should we just give the HBO rundown?
Here's what I want. I want you to give the HBO rundown, and then I want to dive into the rants because I got a bone to pick with what has always been told to me about this film. Okay.
Look, that's fair. I don't have it on hand, so what are we going to do about that? The gist of it was, no, there's HBO. But okay, well, I'm looking this up. Tyler, do you want to give me just like your quick and dirty opinion? Your quick take.
My quick and dirty opinion is that this is a movie that is in Spanish and it takes place during the Spanish Civil War, which I have learned a fair amount about, just from liking history and such, I know it is bad. It's a bad time for everybody involved. And it was very interesting. It's the first time I've ever seen a movie in Spanish about that event, and that stuff. It's a Guillermo del Toro movie, and I feel like you could feel that. It's good in that the way that, like he goes 100% on everything. In my opinion, I have a movie that I want to compare this to, but I kind of want to wait until we're in the spoiler town because it can kind of spoil the movie in a way,
Yeah.
But I definitely, I feel like it's tempting to compare this to The Grudge or something because of the water demon. That's not the movie that I'm going to compare it to.
Right.
I feel like I was cheated and lied to, okay?
Did you like it, though? Aside from being cheated and lied to. Okay.
Is that right?
I enjoyed it a lot. I did enjoy it a lot. And especially, as far as Guillermo del Toro goes, it's actually one of my more favorite of his movies. So, but
have you seen
into
Pan's
that.
Labyrinth?
Absolutely, I have, yes.
It's also in Spanish. Did you know that?
That is true. It's also set during the Spanish Civil War.
Did you know that I started to watch it on Netflix, got 5 minutes into it, thought I was watching the wrong version, realized it's all in Spanish, and then immediately turned it off.
Nice.
I was not prepared yet for an entire subtitled movie.
It's a lot of work. Let me tell you this. The HBO description for this movie: an isolated Spanish orphanage is haunted by the ghost of a former student. And then the thumbnail is the main character, little boy, and in the back of the window, you see the little water demon boy. And I was like, this movie's just going to be this, the whole movie. I wasn't ready for it. So I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. Thought it was very good. And as far as Guillermo del Toro goes, very on brand. It's one of those movies that you're like, oh, it was early in his career. If you just watch this one, I feel like you're like, oh, I get what Guillermo del Toro does. They all kind of follow these same ideas. So we'll talk about it more. I thought it was very good.
Yeah. So what do you think, Cody? Should we get into it? Should we bust in here? Should we kick down this door?
We've railed on Spain good enough. I think I'm ready to go.
Straddle this bomb with me and let's ride it into the oblivion of Spoiler Town, USA, Cody. Let's do it. Much like Armageddon. Get on this nuclear warhead with me, Cody. Let's ride it into the hole. Okay? What?
For a movie with a nuclear bomb in it, is it a nuclear bomb?
It's not.
It's a big bomb.
There is one. That's what it is.
Why would it be a nuclear
Armageddon.
bomb? It was, yeah. Anyway, it's a bomb. For a movie with a giant bomb in it, I recounted this whole movie to Bailey, and I realized not once did I mention it. I was like, there is a bomb in this movie that is in every third shot, and I didn't even mention it when I was detailing out the whole movie to Bailey. So
yeah, it's very
much
much
interesting.
I feel Anyway, we'll get to the bomb and stuff. Right now, we're on it. We got our testicles are on the nuclear warhead that we're riding into the asteroid, careening towards Spoiler Town.
Like bear testicles? Are you wearing underwear? Hold on. I know we're both riding a bomb. But
have you seen the movie Armageddon? That's my question to you.
I might have when I was a child.
I'll have to add that to some list somewhere. All right.
Tyler,
a man has to say to another man, "Get off the nuclear warhead," because he's riding it, going,
because of the movie.
Yeah.
The Doctor Strangelove. Well,
Yep.
Tyler, how are you feeling? You want to go first or want me to go first?
I want to go first. I want to. I want it.
I'm ready
Give
for
it
it.
to me.
And you
I'm
know
not
what?
ready.
Whenever you're ready, I'm going to be ready.
We're
I'm not ready
Friday,
yet either, but I know I'm going to be ready faster than you.
I'm
all
ready.
right?
All right.
All right, I'm ready too. So
Here we go. Cody, here's the thing. The first note I took was I was like, I'm going to keep a jump scare counter. Jump scares, 0, okay? Let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about how this movie has always been pitched to me as a true horror film. We were out here, we were trying to pick our movies for spooky boys, or creepy guys as they call us in Spanish, all right? And we're out here, and I was like, look, we could pick the Resident Evil, which is the next Tyler's Trash. That seems like that's a good, fun, bad horror movie, you know, like it's not gonna really scare anybody, but it's supposed to, supposedly like horror thriller. Anyway, or we could go true horror. I was like, well, you got the true horror picked out. Cody, in my rant right now, I'm switching it. We're doing Lights Out for my Spooky Boys pick because we need a real scary movie. How dare you present this movie to me as though it's a scary movie? Not 1 second of this movie is scary. Some of it is mildly thrilling. But I'm like, that doesn't need to be a ghost. It could have been a cat about to scratch this young boy as he's trying to get out with his jug of water, and it would have been just as intense. Okay? Nope. The ghost... This is one of those movies where the real monsters were the people the whole time. Get over yourself, Guillermo. All right? I wanted monsters. I wanted horror. You make a movie called The Devil's Backbone with a water demon in it, and you come at me with the real monster were the people inside of us all along or whatever, something stupid like that. This is 1000% Guillermo del Toro watched Grave of the Fireflies. It was like, I can do it more depressing, okay? And you know what? He did it. He didn't do it more depressing. He did it weirder. That's all he did, which isn't that just Guillermo del Toro's way? He does it. He's like, I can do it better, and he does it weirder. And it's like, all right, we love you. Here's an award, all right? Okay? Is that Rami Malek? I texted it to you. I put it in the thing. It looks like young Rami Malek. Tiffany looked him up. He looks nothing like Rami today. He looks like a normal douche is what I said, and that's exactly what he looks like. Look him up. I dare you to say otherwise. He doesn't look anything like Rami, all right? Here's what I want. I want him to make Devil's Backbone 2, okay, with Rami Malek playing this guy, all right? I was digging the wardrobe. These people, their wardrobe on point, all right? Lots of suspenders, lots of suits, lots of pocket squares. Loving that, right? We all loved it. It was good. He wanted to talk to Santi, all right? Then Santi's like, all right, let's do it. Let's talk it out, bro. You and me right now. And then he freaking runs away. That's rude. Am I right or am I right? I'm right, okay? That's a rude thing to do. I'd be like me kicking open your door, being like, Cody, let's talk right now. And then you turn in, me screaming, throwing something at you and running away, all right? You'd be like, what the heck was that, right? You probably wouldn't call me after that, right? You probably wouldn't then try to talk to me again. Because that's rude, okay? Cody, I put a note here. I just want you to nod your head if you know the moment I'm talking about. I didn't forget what it is. I just want to know if you know what I'm talking about here. I wrote, yeah, smell that apple, you slut. You know the part I'm talking about, don't you? Nod your head if you know. Yes, you do, because he smells that apple. He smells it so good. There's a part, Cody, where was this movie supposed to be in 3D or something? Because there's a part where a piece of a car comes flying at the camera, and all I want is for someone to make a cut of this movie where the Elden Ring "You Died" pops up right when it goes black when that thing hits you, and that's the end of the movie. I want that up on YouTube tonight, okay? That's all I want, because that's genius, right? That's all I could think about, and I started cackling to myself like a madman when that happened. All right. Here's a top tip for you. Don't hide dead bodies in your water supply. Here's a fun. I guarantee you there was no ghost. There was no nothing. All these people are hallucinating from all the weird crap you get from a dead body in your water supply. And then what do? They throw another one. Stop throwing bodies in the well. You drink from that. None of these people are coming back from the dead. There's not. I bet this is happening in 2017. This isn't even back in the Civil War. These people are just so out of their minds on all the parasites and garbage getting in their water from that they think it's the Spanish Civil War. These guys that they're like, oh no, are they killing people? They're just people there trying to stop the plague from spreading. All right, that's what's happening. This movie is Cody. This is not a scary movie. This is just, and the bomb is there. Like, I know, like some pretentious film douche named Cody is gonna be like, well, the bomb's there to be like the tension of the war in their lives, and it's like, yeah, but this is supposed to be a horror movie, all right? If it was, is it a horror movie or is it a movie about children during the Spanish Civil War? Because that's just Grave of the Fireflies in Spain.
All right, Tyler, I'm going to have to cut you off, and I'm going to have to apologize. I cannot match your energy today, but I applaud you. You did a great job, all right? You really dug into it, and I'm proud of you. Now you zip it, all right? You hit that mute button. You do whatever you're going to do because I'm going to go now. All right. First off, this is a great movie, all right? It was the perfect amount of scary for me. How dare you? Not one jump scare. There is one jump scare in this movie. It got me when he's in the closet and he's looking through the peephole and you know it's going to happen. But when it does happen, it scared me. All right. When the little ghost eye peeps through the peephole at the same time, I was like, oh, spooky. All right. I got spooked. Made me happy. All right. This was a good movie. The first, I love the eerie start. And even you texted me. You were like, at the beginning of this movie is giving me all the wrong vibes. It's going to go terrible. You know what I'm saying? I thought they did a good job. First half, I think, was most of the scary parts, and then the second half was like, all right, now we're just in the thing. You should have known. You should have known, all right? It's a Guillermo del Toro movie. The monsters were the people all along. The man was the monster, and that's every single movie he's done. I'm looking at his filmography, and all his, like, scary, creepy, spooky movies, which is like 80% of them, are all that way. Shape of Water follows that same format, right? There is a fish man, all right? There's a fish man from on high. That's not even a part of it, okay? It's the boss. He's mean, all right? He's the mean guy. He's the mean man, and he's the one that drives the plot forward. And Pan's Labyrinth is the same way, all right? There's so much supernatural stuff going on. At the end of the day, there's a mean guy, okay? There's a mean guy. He's a bully, and he causes all the problems. What's it called? Well, Nightmare Alley? Basically the same thing, you know? It's like, and it's also got a demon baby in a jar. So what's that about? I didn't even make the connection till today that I'm like, Guillermo del Toro, he's got a thing for demon babies in jars. Except in this one, you drink from it. Okay, let's talk about that for a little bit. The worst cocktail ever. It's rum, spices, soaked in a dead baby. In a diseased dead baby fetus in a jar. It's got a messed up spine, and you drink it, all right? And that's how you make money for orphans. I don't even... Who is the maniac that was... It was like a hazing thing, right? It was like a college hazing thing, and then some guy didn't realize it was all prank and was like, I'm making a business out of this, all right? Man, it was great. My first note is Olad, because I was not prepared also, okay? They start the movie off, and it's spooky. And, you know, I appreciate that they, right out the gate, they're like, look, there's the demon boy in the window. He's there. It doesn't take long to get into it, and I appreciate that. There's no Spanish translation for Steadicam. I know because I was reading the credits, and it was like, yada, 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 all the Spanish words, and it was like, Steadicam. I was like, oh, okay, you're Steadicam. That's just how you say it. So that's great. I love that. I thought it was funny he did this movie in the Spanish Civil War because Pan's Labyrinth in the Spanish Civil War, and then he talks about it. He's like, no, it's like they're like sister films, you know? This is the masculine boy one, and then Pan's Labyrinth is the feminine girl one. All right? I was like, well, that's fine. The kid shows up at an orphanage, which obviously his tutor is planning on abandoning him in. He's in full denial. He's like, I'm not getting abandoned here. I'm just hanging out in this orphanage where there's a big old bomb. He pokes it. He goes up to it. He's like, tap, tap, tap. I'm like, dude, it's a bomb. Don't poke it. That's where the ghost lives. You were in a ghost movie, okay? Don't go rat-a-tat-tatting on the bomb. Ghosts live in the bomb. Where else would it live? Obviously, in the well in the cellar. Okay, that's where he actually lives. But it's a good misdirect. Don't tempt fate out here. Why are we're in a scary movie? Have our wits about us, okay? Oh, man. Snot marbles. I never saw that coming. If you could have bet me $1 million that there wouldn't be a snot marble in this movie, and there absolutely was. And you know what? Kudos. I'm trying to think. Look, of every snot marble movie I've seen, this is the best one. It is also the worst one. This is the only snot marble movie that's ever existed, and I defy you to find another one. I really like the soap in this movie because it's soap. It's not even a bar of soap. It's a brick of soap. Like, it's from a bigger brick of soap that they were like, had to just like wedge off like you do if like if you got a big old piece of cheese and you got like a cheesemonger like carving out pieces of cheese. It's one of those, all right? I like that. It's like a real soap, like a man's soap. Kind of soap you can clean your testicles with, so clean that no one's even going to protest when you put them on the bomb, okay? I have an important question for you. I got to save this for next. Hold on. Wet child footprints? My uncle saw some, okay? He works security at the Queen Mary, which is a big old ship like the Titanic, and you can tour it today. It's haunted. He worked security. He was at the pool, heard splashing, saw footprints, heard children. No one was there. It is an abandoned pool, okay? An abandoned, empty pool. He was working there as a security guard. Wet footprints, the sound of children playing, all right? I want you to think about that, because as soon as I saw the wet footprints, I was like, no, this movie is real. This is a documentary. I've heard about this. Dale told me, all right?
Dale.
And Dale, when Dale says something, you take it at its face value, okay? So what do you think about that?
Yeah.
I've been on that boat. If you're ever in Long Beach, you're in South LA, and you're like, I want to see where Snoop Dogg's from, and you're in Long Beach, go check out the Queen Mary. It's a good time. It's spooky. You can stay there. It's haunted. Isn't that fun? Here's my question to you. This is probably the most important debate we'll have. And honestly, we can probably just shut this whole podcast down once we're done talking about it. Jacinto. Is he hot, or is it just the suspenders undershirt look that's working for him?
That's a great question, Cody.
Think about it. Consider it. And I mean, I'm a little upset that you don't know offhand because I spent about 20% of the movie thinking about this.
Well, here's the thing. I spent most of the time thinking, this man looks like Colin Farrell.
I thought that too. And
Colin Farrell
he
is
must...
hot, but he doesn't look as hot as Colin Farrell. So is he just less hot Colin Farrell? Is he TV's Colin Farrell?
That checks out. He's TV Colin Farrell. I appreciate that. And, it's hard to love the villain, but I think he's just a youthful, lithe boy, and the outfit's working for him. I think maybe it's more so the outfit than anything, but it's a good look. Old-timey clothes, they could be pretty flattering,
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know.
Oh, man. Look, I know you got a lot you don't like about this movie, okay?
It's
I know
not
it was
that I
sold to
didn't
you
like
as a
the
pure
movie.
horror.
It's that everybody's like, it's so scary. It's like if somebody told you to watch Grave of the Fireflies because it's the best horror movie they've ever watched in their life. And it's like, sure, you could be horrified by what's happening in it, but being horrified by the atrocities of the Second World War as viewed by Japanese children is not the same as a horror movie. Okay?
Yeah, I get that, but there is a ghost, and there's some spooky scenes. He gets haunted by the ghosts a little bit,
I'm just saying,
Look, I thought it was going to be much more of a hard horror, especially, I was teed up for it, right? It's kind of a spooky poster on HBO. The thing says they're haunted by a ghost. You're like, oh, okay, so it's just going to be a spooky, scary movie, and that really isn't what it is.
it's not.
Which was a pleasant surprise for me. Look, you took it as it fell short of your expectations. I took it as it exceeded my expectations because I got to enjoy the film.
No, hold on now. If as a horror movie, I'd rate this a hard F. It's a terrible horror movie. But as a movie exploring like the Spanish Civil War, which, I'm sure like if two. You say it's weird, two movies. He is from Spain, and I'm sure a lot of what he spent
Is he
learning
from
in
Spain?
school was the Spanish Civil War.
Is he from Spain? Because I thought he was from Mexico.
Is he from Mexico?
That's why I'm confused, because I want to have this conversation as well. Because I always heard he was a Mexican director, and I thought he was like the first Mexican director to win the Oscar for Best Director. But he also could be like, I'm from Mexico, but my parents are from Spain. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what it is. He's a Mexican filmmaker, according to the search bar of Google. So he's from Guadalajara. So that's my question: is why is he
Well-
so affixed? You know, I assumed this took place in a Mexican school because I think someone even told me that, but no, it's in.
It's in
Spain.
Spain. Is it Spain during their?
And as we
Civil
know,
War.
Mexicans disdain the Spanish for their Spain for their Spanish, and they like their Mexican Spanish. It's better Spanish, like you talked about. So I'm just surprised he's done 2 movies there.
Hold on now. Speaking of this, I feel vindicated. All right. I recently saw a video where somebody also, just like myself, realized that the this has nothing to do with anything you just said, but also it has everything to do with
Nice.
it, Cody. All right. That the American accent, much like I feel like you and I have a slight Southern accent, just like you probably have a slight California accent, but I'm sure just like I don't usually hear my Southern, you don't hear your California.
Sure.
The accent we speak English in is the original British accent. In the 1700s, you were in England, this is how British people sounded. They would say, hello, not hello. Hello, governor. They wouldn't say that, Cody. It's not how they spoke. They spoke in the normal American accent. And everybody's like, there's a billion accents. Shut up. There's one accent that 99% of Americans speak in, and then there's like Louisiana and Texas. Some of Texas, okay? That's what we're talking about here. And Baston, all right? But what I'm telling you right now, this right here, where you actually speak the words, is the original British accent. Let it sink in. Tell me I'm wrong, and then look it up and be amazed. Because everybody doubts it, and then they find out, and they're like, what? And it's the truth. How did it switch? Because the royal family speaks like that. But it was also, at that time, considered kind of lowbrow, I think, to speak in the current British accent. That was lowbrow. They have tried to change it, Cody. The British have tried to be like, no, we speak high class. It's like, no, you speak low class English. You do not speak the king's English. You speak the low class queen's English, all right? You get out here, you're letting these Germans be the royal family, and they messed it up for you, all right? We're out here, we're keeping the English, the British Empire alive as America, okay? We're like the real ones out here. You're out here being fake English. Also, none of my ancestors are from England, which is very funny to me that I don't have didn't get any of those accents. Didn't get an accent from any of them. It's all Swedish and German, man. Isn't that fun? You're out here, you're just blonde hair, blue eyed, just Hitler's wet dream, you know?
Oh, yeah. That's what I go for. Look, let me change the subject.
What, you're gonna try to change it away from
We
this?
got to Hitler, and I'm ready to change the subject.
Look, Spanish Civil War,
Yeah.
it all ties together.
All right. Guillermo del Toro, according to Wikipedia, he is close friends with Mexican filmmakers Alfonso Cuarón and Alejandro G. Iñárritu. And they're collectively known as, and I know both those directors and I'm familiar with their work, and I have never heard them refer to this, as the three amigos of cinema.
Okay,
So,
now hold on now.
there you
I
go.
have heard that before.
Really?
But it was always I don't know if it's racist or not, because I always feel like it's never him saying that or any like Spanish. It's always like when he won an Oscars, I think is when I heard it. Like, oh, him and this other guy, they're the three amigos. And I'm like, is this racist? Is it racist to refer to three friends who are Mexican as the three amigos?
I don't know.
What if they want to be known as the creepy guys? All right.
Creepy guys, man. Well,
So-
there you go.
I did not like the movie. I just thought I was so ready. My fight or flight instinct was on a hair trigger, all right? Tiffany watched this whole movie with me, and at one point turned to me towards the
Really?
end and said, "This is supposed to be a horror movie?" She didn't even get
Wow.
got by that jump scare because it happens so slowly, and it's such like a kind of sound. Like that's the like other ones. It's like we're gonna break your freaking speakers, and this one I appreciate Guillermo for not trying to blow the speakers out on my surround sound system like
Yeah.
everybody else does. But yeah, no, I was so ready for it to be scary, and then I was just like, all right, this one's gonna get scary. And then when the ghost didn't like whip around on him or anything, I was just like, oh no, it's gonna be one of the adults is the real monster. Like so early on, I was just like, there's not gonna be any ghost scary
Yeah.
stuff.
That's all his movies, though. That's what he'd do. Crimson Peak is like that. The other ones I talked about, all of them. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Which you did say all his movies are the real monster, are the people. How dare you, sir? Pacific Rim wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Cody, hold
Look.
on. Yeah, vamp for a little while. I gotta grab something. Vamp. You talk about the movie. I'm gonna listen.
Vamp. What does that mean? Vamp.
Talk. Just talk. Just
Vamp.
fill time. I've used this term before, and you've known what I meant. So don't come at me now. You know
Look,
what?
here's what I'll say. Let me
Now,
give some.
no.
let me give
Now I'm
some
looking up
praise to this
vamp,
movie.
and I'm going to give you the definition. All right, vamp, vampire boy. No, vamp in jazz in short, simple introductory passage. All right. So it's like it's that movie with the creepy looking girl with the red. It might be a guy. No, it's a lady. So yeah, it'd be like in jazz to fill time. So fill time, Cody.
Oh, that's all you had to say, Tyler. Here's what. Let me give some praise to this movie while you're walking on your walkabout. All right. I thought this movie had excellent cinematography. I appreciated. They didn't go like super dark on anything, and I kind of liked that I could see all the scenes. But I thought there were some great camera angles, some really well framed shots. A lot of shots that used the bomb as a point of interest, and a lot of shots of people coming and leaving the orphanage on foot, that were really interesting and very well done. I was quite impressed by the camera work of the film. So I will say that. Good cinematography. I appreciated that. Okay? And I liked the effect. I thought the effects, with the exception of the thing flying at the screen after the explosion and maybe one other thing, I really liked the effects. I thought they held up pretty well because it feels kind of like an independent movie. Like it didn't seem like a big budget movie by any stretch of the imagination. And I really enjoyed the effect they used for the ghost because it almost made me think of like, you talked about the water demon, but it honestly made me think more of like a Dia de los Muertos thing. Kind of like in Coco, when they're like bone people or when they're like half bone people. It made me think of that because that was kind of the effect they gave like as a translucent. I thought it worked really well. So I really enjoyed the design of the ghost.
I liked all the
I have a
particle
note.
like effects around him, like it looking like he was underwater. I liked a lot.
Yeah, that was really cool. I have a note here, and I want you to guess what it's about because I have no idea. Oh, it's one of those. It's after the booze. My note for the worst booze ever, which we discussed in my rant. Oh, it's one of those.
I don't know.
Maybe it was it must be during the sexy scene with the headmistress. I was like, how is this happening and why? And then I saw him take the key. I was like, oh, it's one of those. Okay. All right, I got it. There's an exchange of goods and services happening of sorts here.
But does she know that he's taking them?
No, she doesn't, but I'm saying he's doing it so that he can get access to the keys, It's not
Yeah, but
like
she's
he's just having
definitely
a good
like
old time.
she's definitely like been, taking this young boy, right, since he was a young boy. Right?
Oh, that is a good point. Because maybe you're right. Maybe this is just bonus now. Maybe now this is what he's working on.
Yeah, like to me it came across as like, oh, she's been like abusing this poor
Yeah.
man since he was a
Sicky.
child. which to me was like, oh, so none of these people are without fault. Like they're
I
all
thought they
the
said
worst.
like 17. He was 17, right? Which I'm sure
Okay.
in Spain. Look, in Spain,
Okay. All right,
they're,
fine.
they're freaks over there, and I guarantee the age of consent is like 14 and a half.
I'm gonna win
It's
back
like
on the
getting
FBI
a
list.
driver's license in Idaho. All right.
Going back on the FBI list because
You ever seen the 14-year-olds driving cars in Idaho? Throws me every time.
Spain raised their age of consent to 16. I don't know when it was.
they raised. Oh no.
I know. That's what I said.
Europe is such a magical place. Why don't we give credit to Europe more often for
There's a 2015
everything
article.
they got going on over there?
Spain has raised the minimum age for marriage and sexual relations to 16 from 14 and 13, respectively, bringing the country into line with much of Europe after protests from child protection groups.
Yep.
So there you go. So back then, 14 probably. So he was an old man by that point, you know?
Basically, I mean, he was like, yeah, just an old maid. Couldn't get nobody.
Oh,
to
sorry.
take his hand in
13,
marriage.
14 for marriage, 13 for sex. So
Well, I mean,
couldn't even get anybody.
I didn't like when I was in middle school hearing about the 13-year-old sexual experiences. I was like, I don't like this. You know, this isn't for me. It didn't happen often, but it happened a couple times. I was like, this is not where I want to be, you know? And it's never information you ask for. It's always something somebody's bragging about. And you're like, dude, I don't think you know how messed up things are going for you right now, you know?
Yeah, here's just okay. If your partner's age is your age reversed and you're not like 22 or 33 or 55, if you're 44, it's still wrong. All right, I don't know why, it just is. Okay, but if your age and your partner's age are like the reverse of each other, there's probably something wrong there, right? Right?
Yeah. Probably.
Like let's
Can't judge people. Look, I judged Florence Pugh for dating Zach Braff, and they're like 15 or 20 years apart. And I was like, it's not good. Then they broke up, and she was like, it was just, I'd hated having to explain my relationship to people and having to defend it. And then I felt bad, but also it's still weird, you know?
Yeah.
I'm still allowed to think it's weird, you know?
I recently had a moment where I was on the phone with my mother, and she remembered that my wife is 5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, she's 5 years younger than you. I was like, yep. Oh. I was like, we've been married almost 3 years now. Like, you had your time to make me feel guilty for this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, you know, she isn't 40 years younger than you.
Right.
What would you say the age difference is between Jacinto and the headmistress lady? She got to be 55 to 65, probably 60-ish, 55-ish, 60-ish.
Here's what I know about Hispanic people. Is it Hispanic? Spain is Hispanic, right?
Spain is the most Hispanic of
Because it is Hispanic. It's Hispanic is from
But I feel like
Spain,
if you're
right?
just from Spain, then you just say Spanish or Spaniard. Oh, here we go.
I'm just
All right,
saying,
we're gonna
from my
back
knowledge
ourselves into a corner here.
of the Hispanic cultures in the early 1900s, this woman is definitely 78 years old, and this young boy is definitely 19.
That,
So
I mean, that's what all that baby bottle booze will get you. You know, it'll
Yeah.
get you up to your 70. You're seeing your 70s. You look like you're 62.
You saw
So,
Coco.
It's working wonders.
These grandmas, these abuelas, as they're called, yeah, they live forever. They refuse to die out of pure stubbornness and hate for their.
And they're gonna judge
What
their
are their
grandchildren for
grandchildren?
not getting married fast into their
Yeah.
nietos.
Yeah.
Is that right? Or is that nieces, nephews? Oh god, nieto. I think it's grandkid.
I don't know. At
Woo.
one point, they call the boys niños, and I was like, I know that word.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So Cody, what I went and grabbed was this. Okay, just to showcase. I think Guillermo. This is my love of Guillermo del Toro. Okay, Cody. What I hold in my hand is a Steelbook Special Edition of Pacific Rim. All right, not just any. This is the Titans of Cult. steelbook, which includes a very fancy steelbook, Pacific Rim, as you can see. It's got a nice little
Got to rub it.
of the robot. I sent you the poster. It does have a poster of the film as well, and a pin. Okay, and a pin, if you can see that. So this is what I'm saying. All right, this is where we're coming from. In this movie, I liked it. Okay, I like Guillermo. I gave you my speech of him before. I feel like Guillermo del Toro is one who he goes hard on any type of movie he's making. If he wants a scary movie, he's gonna make it scary. If he wants a sad war movie, he's gonna make it a sad war movie. If he wants a cool robot fighting monster movie, he's gonna make it a cool robot fighting monster movie. Does he abandon a lot of projects? Sure, and that's fine, But that's because he's out there making, Troll Hunters, okay? He doesn't have time to make The Hobbit. He needs to make Troll Hunters, Cody.
Hunters, yeah, I was just going to say. Let me tell you, on his Wikipedia page, he has got a photo of him as a teenager with no glasses and no beard, and I hate it. I don't like looking at him when he doesn't have the glasses and the beard. Del Toro, I know that you always had the glasses and beard now, but
yeah.
I'm mad at you that you ever didn't have them, okay? That's all I got to say.
It is a look. For sure.
Oh. Del Toro, what a... I would say he's an enigma, but having watched this, having seen I don't know, I've seen a lot of his movies now, and especially all the recent ones. I get exactly what he does, all right? I know. I've cracked the code. I know exactly what his movies are like. I'll never be surprised again.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I brought up, when we started talking about this movie, I brought up Grave of the Fireflies. And you're sitting here thinking, it's not. I'm telling you, Grave of the Fireflies came out when he would have been at peak douchey film school student. Even, I don't know if he went to film school or anything, but like peak I'm finding myself time in his life, okay? And we both know he's a nerd that likes nerd stuff. So that's, that means he's definitely watching that movie. So I'm just saying, I feel like this is that, right? It's just that one's World War II and this is the Spanish Civil War. It's sad children's stuff. That's all it is. It's nothing that says, it's not a horror movie other than it just shows the horrifying realities of war and children. It's like, and then it makes you look at yourself and it's like, look at it. Look at it. This is what you did.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you.
He makes you want to look at this and think, you're right, I shouldn't have started the Spanish Civil War. That's my fault. That's my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, look, you're right.
Okay.
Let's talk about someone. Let's talk about Jamie. Jaime.
Oh,
probably.
yeah, there you go. Not Jamie.
Jaime. Well, Jaime's in this movie. He's like the bully kid, right? Here's my thing about him. He finds an old, cigar sticker thingy. It looks like a ring. You know what I'm saying? And he gives it to Jacinto's fiance. And I'm just like, dude, Jamie, you're about to get rocked. This is how you get... This man, Jacinto, is unhinged. And you're out here giving gifts to his lady. For all we know, Jaime is of the age of consent. Okay? And that was him proposing. All right?
Yeah.
He's trying to move in on Jacinto's lady. But also, maybe Jacinto doesn't care because he can get down with Headmistress Lady whenever he wants. So maybe he's not even worried about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's a question for you. What is it with Guillermo del Toro? And does he have a thing for disabled women? Much like what's his face with the feet?
Tarantino and the feet.
Tarantino's got a foot fetish that he's very public about. He puts the foot stuff front and center in his movies.
I'll tell you this. According to Del Toro, he's got... it actually summarizes it pretty well, what his vibe is.
Oh.
No, I lost it. Del Toro's work has been characterized by a strong connection to fairy tales and horror, with an effort to infuse visual or poetic beauty in the grotesque. Lifelong fascination with monsters, which he considers symbols of great power. He's also known for his use of incestual? Is that how you spell incestual? Well, that's new to me. And religious imagery. Themes of Catholicism and celebrating imperfection. That's that one. Underworld and clockwork motifs. Practical special effects. Dominant amber lighting. And his frequent collaborations with Ron Perlman and Doug Jones. Yeah. He likes to celebrate imperfections, usually with uncomfortable sexual scenes. That's just me speculating. There's a couple of those in his movies. Not that many.
Well, the two, I mean, to this, it's the headmistress got like no leg,
Crimson
and
Peaks has some stuff. Nightmare Alley has a tiny bit. This one's got
Shape
it.
of Water, the lady's mute.
Shape of Water's a big one.
Because the guy who I did the hand thing. I don't know if you caught that, Cody, while you were doing your rant. Because man only washes his hands before or after he pees. All right, not both. That's a psychopath. Right, or whatever he said. I don't know. He says something very aggressive and weird in that moment. That's all I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't want any noise during the sexy times. So she's perfect because she's mute.
Yeah.
Which is a weird story arc in any movie. It made me not like that movie. I like this movie, though. But I didn't like that movie.
I do have a note about, speaking of peeing, I wrote a note, I have to pee. What do I do now? It was like right after the jump scare. I was like, I'm in my basement. It was like 11:30 at night, and it was dark. Basement, you know, what do you even do? Bindi, I made Bindi stay downstairs with me. She tried to abandon me. I went to go to the bathroom. She's like, we're going upstairs. I'm like, no, you're staying. And then I got out of the bathroom. She's like, I'm going upstairs. I'm like, no, you are staying here. You are getting me through this movie. All right, I don't care what you want. You're staying here.
Little did you know, no scary moments after that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know it is. You talked about smelling the apple. I had to note, just grab the apple, show off, because he takes his knife, stabs the apple to pick it up, picks it up, and then he was smelling it, but I thought he was about to take a bite out of it, like with his hand. I was like, why'd you even get your knife out, you like douche? But then he does proceed to do the, cut it with the knife and eat it. So, which is fine, I guess. But I was like, really, dude, you're out here, you're grabbing knives with apples and just eating with your hands? But no, even weirder, he is smelling it. What a good dude. The most fragrant of all fruits, an apple with the skin on it.
He's sniffing the cut, sniffing it, just snorting that juice right into his nostrils, Cody.
Or as they say in Spain, a manzana. There you go. Although I've heard Spain, they sometimes use different verbiage for vegetables and fruits. So maybe that isn't what they call it in Spain. If you're from Spain and you speak Spanish and you know how to say apple, let us know. In addition to spooky, creepy guys.
Yeah.
Oh, man. How about what's his name? Ugh. Jacinto, who's the worst. All right. He blows up the orphanage so that he can get to the gold, and he locks up the kids, and he breaks open the safe. It's not in the safe. Then he finds the gold in the headmistress's prosthetic leg, hidden. He ties around his belt. He's good to go. He's got, I'm assuming, like $100,000 worth of gold or more. He's rich, okay?
Yeah.
And the kids pop up, and their plan to trap him is to be like, hey, and then run away.
Yeah, which works, to be fair.
He chases them.
Yeah.
This man has the gun, right?
Yeah.
He's got a gun. He's got all the gold. They are children. They can do nothing to him unless he follows them into the cellar where they all have sharp sticks and they poke him into submission. But they're like, we got a plan. We got sharp sticks, and we're gonna be like, hey, and we're gonna run, and he's gonna give chase. Like, that's it. That was what Jacinto. he could have walked away so easily.
Yeah, but he didn't. Because he's grubby. He's a grubby little greedy guy. You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's talk about this. There's a doctor here who does not know first aid because headmistress lady, she's out here. She's got a shard of glass in her chest, and he's like, I'm going to pull this out. Ugh, it's bleeding a lot. And I'm like, well, yeah, you pulled out the thing that was stopping the bleeding.
Yeah.
Then Jacinto gets stabbed in the armpit, which is one of the worst places to get stabbed, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Gets stabbed in the armpit with a spear, tries to pull it out, breaks the spear, gets a second chance at life, then he pulls it out still and starts bleeding. Like, guys, any of you could learn first aid at this point. You'd be like, you know what? I'm going to leave it in so I don't bleed to death.
Yeah, no, I did say when he pulled that out, I was like, yeah, you don't want to pull that out. You want to leave that in there for at least a little bit. Like, just, till I don't know, don't leave it in forever, I guess, but like until that you're like ready to stop the bleeding.
Yep.
Not while you're in the middle of the fight.
Man. They done poked him to death. All right?
They poked him to death, which is, I was like, isn't there another horror movie where they like do this kind of, where a bunch of kids like poke a grown man to death? But it's like more horrifying, I think. Like,
yeah, it wouldn't be a Del Toro movie without a little blood and gore. At least his R-rated ones, And I appreciated that. I appreciated that it delivered because I was feeling a little left behind. I was like, where's the goodness?
Okay.
Because when they shot the people, they shot the resistance fighters or whatever, or vice versa. They lined up the dudes and they were shooting them against the wall. I was like, oh, we're gonna get some big blood spatters. No, we don't see none of it. So I'm glad we at least got the poking in.
The poking was brutal. It was definitely brutal. Speaking of the first aid thing, so Ghost Doctor opens the door, right, to let the kids out, to let the boys out. Then proceeds to check out the boy who, dropping 2 inches, breaks his ankle. All right.
Yeah.
Classic, right? I had another like movie to compare this to, but I'll finish this real quick here. And then so he's like, oh, the doctor opened the door and he told me that my ankle will be fine. And then one of the kids proceeds to grab his ankle and twist it till it pops. Which I'm like, look, man, Ghost Doctor said he's good.
God,
don't jack with
back
the
in place.
ankle.
Especially when it's like the size of a grapefruit. His ankle was so swollen. It was great.
So this is So this has nothing, like, the movie is not this, but as they were going on and the boys were doing their adventure stuff, and it became more and more just like, oh, the boys are on an adventure. I was like, so this is just the Goonies with ghosts, right? That's what this is. Like, this is just
right. Yeah.
Goonies during a
There's
civil
a hidden
war.
treasure for sure. Yeah. No. Yeah.
It's just like, okay.
It's
So it's as
depressing
horrific as the
Spanish
Goonies.
Civil War Goonies. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas the Goonies is in somewhere on the coast in America. This is the Goonies in Spain.
Yeah.
During a civil war.
Guillermo del Toro's answer to Goonies. It's like, I see you, Goonies. I raise you, young man who has sex with his principal.
Yeah. Which
he nailed it.
you said he likes to do the incestuous
Instead of the
thing.
girl with the braces kissing the guy, it's like, no, this lady doesn't have a leg and she's old and she's doing this young dude. Yeah.
Which you said he likes to do the incestuous stuff. And that's like, she's the headmistress of the orphanage he grew up in, a mother figure that took advantage of him.
Yeah.
She has his family photos in her safe. She's messed up. She kind of deserved what she got, right?
I didn't get her whole motivation because the doctor was like a nice guy and he was like, I'm here for you. And she's like, why don't you go to Argentina? And he's like, no, you're here. I read you poetry. You do sex with your employees. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't understand her, By the end of the movie, I was like, I didn't understand if they were what side of the Civil War they were on. I didn't, whatever.
I think they were the communists, which were the bad guys in their Civil War. I don't know. Both sides, it switches, They were on the losing side.
Yeah.
But the bad guys won, I thought, in their Civil War, and they had to do other stuff, another Civil War or something. All I know is that there was a lot of Americans that went over, formed their own brigade, and then they were like, "Shut up, Spaniards! We know what's up," and then got themselves trapped in a pointless battle for a town that didn't matter, and they all died. That's all I know.
Wow.
Meanwhile, they ended up, yeah, they was like, that's, so that happened with several foreign battalions where they're like, "Shut up, Spaniards, you don't know anything. We know what's up." And they're like, "No, please. Just do what you're told." So I do know it was a brutal civil war. Like, there's still towns that are like just ruins, and they're like, "Yep, it's just like not even worth rebuilding that town. Just build a new one next to the old one."
Wow. Use the old town for paintball.
Yep.
We had an abandoned town next door in Victorville, Georgia Air Force Base, and there's all this like old housing. And they're like, "Yeah, we just use it for like military drills now." And
Yeah.
sometimes kids break into it and use it for paintball. And
Paintball.
it's weird because we that was my golf course for a little bit when I was on the golf team. We used that for like a season. And you'd like go into the golf course at Georgia Air Force Base, and then like you'd see a tank drive by. You're like, this is a weird place. I am playing golf. There are abandoned buildings that are used for paintball sometimes, and a tank just drove by. So it's cool.
Yeah. That's how I do, you know?
Yeah. I appreciate the ending that it was like, oh, the doctor guy is the ghost. At the beginning, they do the little monologue, what is a ghost? And at the end, they do it. And they tie it up all together. And the bomb is like a symbol for something. And the ghosts are like a symbol for something. And that's what I appreciated about the movie. It's like, oh, this is why he is a good filmmaker. Because he didn't just take like a spooky film or a ghost film. He's like, no, I'm gonna ask some questions and give like a thesis. And I'm gonna tie everything back to the thesis at the end and tie a little bow on it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's what when you talk about a movie, right? As a horror movie, this is not a scary movie, you know. But it's the kind of movie that people in Hollywood are gonna like better because it is a little bit better of a story than your traditional horror movie. That's like, all right, we got to find a way to get people scared. Now we're gonna be scary for an hour and 20 minutes, and now you're gonna beat the scary thing, and the movie's just kind of over, you know? Because it does. Most scary movies leave me feeling kind of empty. They're like, it's like, oh, okay, it's over. Whereas this one, it was like, oh, at least it was about something too, you know?
Yeah. I still kind of feel like, so this won like some awards, right? That were specifically for like horror and thriller movies, which I feel would kind of be like, I mean, like he won best horror film at the Saturn Awards. That's what it was. And to me, it just kind of seems like, I don't know. I mean, it'd be like if, I don't know, any good drama movie, they submitted to a horror film festival and they're like, yeah, it's a horror film. It's like, but there's nothing scary or horrifying about it. Yeah, but I'm saying it's a horror film. It's like, well, yeah, you're going to beat out Friday the 13th 12, you know, when yours is like a good, well thought out original thing. If theirs is just, hey, there's a killer chasing you. You know, make some bad decisions and get caught in the chainsaw shed. All right, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like,
I actually don't know if this movie won because according to Wikipedia, The Others won this year, which is on.
Oh, it said nominee. Okay, so it's nominee.
Okay, so The Others won. It was up against. The other thing about you also have to look who's it against because in this case it's The Others, which is great. Devil's Backbone, From Hell, Hannibal, Jeepers Creepers, and 13 Ghosts. So.
Which I would say, like, just like putting this in horror film categories. Like, if I was a judge, I would rate it poorly. But if it's like you're looking at it as a movie, comparing it to horror movies, it's like, yeah, it's always going to come out on top because it's not a horror movie. It's a movie with some spooky stuff happening. It's like a good drama with a little bit of spook, you know?
Let me tell you about these Saturn Awards. Let's just run through the categories. Best Actor, Best Actress, easy. Supporting Actor, Actress. Director, Writing, Costumes, great. Best Fantasy Film. Best Horror Film. This is how the Oscars should do it. Best Science Fiction Film. My favorite. Best Performance by a Younger Actor. Nailed it. Fantastic. Best Action Adventure Thriller Film. Those are all together. and makeup. Look, they got it down. They're like, we understand that movies are different things, so we're gonna have a horror genre and a fantasy and a sci-fi, etc.
But has there ever
There you
been
go.
any drama at the Saturn Awards, Cody?
You know, if anyone were watching, maybe, but
Nobody.
I don't think like Guillermo del Toro took the mic from the director of the others and said Beyonce had the best music video or whatever.
He could have, though.
Yeah, that's true.
We just shout out to the genius of the next year, Kanye acting like he was going to go up on stage again and do that again. And then he just was like, nah, and left it off and stopped halfway up the stairs. But if no one had said anything, if there hadn't been the audible gasp, do you think he would have gone through with grabbing the mic?
That's the genius of Kanye, is that, like, we'll never know. Like, he recognized the audience and he deferred to the audience. He was like, oh, this got a moment. I'm happy with that. We're good to go. You know?
Do you think Kanye knew when he stood up where that was going to end? Do you think he knew where he was?
You're telling me Kanye I don't think Kanye's got the next 7 moves planned out. I think he knows, the next step maybe, like, literally. He's like, all right, I'm standing up. I know that much. We'll see if I get another step after that. And then he kept, you know what I'm saying?
I saw a clip of him he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I saw the clip of him of it recently. This may have been years ago that he was on it, but it was just him talking about, he's like, how much money would it cost to buy the whole planet? I want to buy Earth and be the king. And it's just like complete silence. And Joe Rogan just like, because Joe Rogan, he, love him or hate him, he is very good at just like matching the energy and being like completely 100% open-minded to whatever insanity is being spat at him across his table, right? And he's incredible at engaging in that conversation. To have someone say something so insane that he is lost for words is just gold, right? Like, you have stumped Joe Rogan where he now has to say, what you're saying is insane. A man who has sat across from like the most insane politicians and like political like news people, and like they're spouting all these crazy. This man has sat across from, what's that one guy that has like, he's been like sued for defamation, talking about the frogs being gay and stuff,
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones. This man has sat across from Alex Jones and been like, yeah, no, that totally makes sense. You have stumped him with what you just said. Like, just gold, Cody. He's truly a national treasure, you know?
Truly, yes.
We should make Kanye the next king of England. All right? Get rid of King Charles. Kanye West for king. All right?
Well,
let's
if
make the
Kanye
campaign
marries
stickers.
King Charles, doesn't that mean that he shares the throne with him?
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's get a gay black man on the throne of England. Can you imagine how thrilled Queen Elizabeth would be? Can you imagine how many times her grave would turn over if a gay black man was married to her son and is like, I'm here, I'm doing it, I'm ruling. Furthermore, I'm American. Is there anything better? Oh, hold up. It's a gay black American rapper. It couldn't be any better. Man.
Here's the thing. I know King Charles, the artist formerly known as Prince Charles, listens to the podcast. All right. Just think, you would be the most memorable monarch in British history if you did this. Okay.
Yeah.
No one would
Forget
ever
about
forget
King
your name.
Henry and yeah.
Yeah. Everybody be like, what? Who are you talking about? Queen Victoria? Nobody knows who that is, but King Charles, who married Kanye West. Everybody remember that.
The meme.
Everybody remember that.
Man. It would dominate like world news. It would be like, guys, I don't care what wars are going on right now. We have to talk about this.
You could stop every war in the world for a whole day at least if you did this. Everybody would just be too
A
dumbfounded.
royal wedding, but it's Kanye. Man.
They'd get married in space for sure, right?
Yeah. They would take that penis rocket up into the stratosphere and do it. Zero gravity wedding. Zero gravity vows. The vows would be raps. King Charles would have to perform a rap. It would be. Oh, I read some trivia for the movie.
I'll give
None
it
of
to you.
it, not much of it stuck out, except according to IMDb trivia, Del Toro, his uncle came back as a ghost, so that inspired some of the movie. So Del Toro said something, or someone just said that Del Toro said something about that. So
Cody, have you considered that Dale is a ghost?
let me consider it. Not surprised.
When
Yeah.
was the last time so your Uncle Dale,
Yeah.
your dad's brother?
Yes. Half brother.
When was the last time he spoke about him?
My dad.
Yeah.
Well,
When was the last time you asked Brian, I don't know your dad's name, about Dale?
it wasn't that long ago because we're still settling stuff for my grandpa's estate. So only a couple months ago.
And he said, we don't need to worry about
Still
Dale.
distributing
Dale
the funds.
died in 1991. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said. Oh, man.
He died aboard the Queen Mary.
My favorite thing about Uncle Dale is that lifelong smoker, and he just quit like a year or two ago. And I didn't even know. He had quit for a while until I noticed that he was pounding fistfuls of candy. And I was like, I asked him about it, and he was like, yeah, well, I quit smoking. So now all I want to do is eat sweets. I was like, the human body is amazing. Like, he's literally just like pounding a fistful of like sweet tart something or other. So I was like, this is wild.
Yeah. Well, it's all about
Yeah.
the thing. What is it? You get the oral fixation where you got to have something in your mouth to replace the cigarette. So lots of
Yeah.
people go with the sunflower seeds
Yeah.
because they're not
Gum,
awful
sunflower
for you.
seeds, handfuls of Smarties. Yep.
Weed. All
Yeah.
valid things. Maybe that's why he's pounding the candy.
Oh, man.
Maybe that's not what replaced it.
It is legal there. Explain why they moved to California. Well, we won't think too much about it. I guess I'll just close. My last thought. I do like that they talked about like a ghost and being stuck in a moment in time, and like the whole movie there's just a bomb in the middle of the orphanage that like never detonated, So it was like this bomb came and like froze them in time for a little bit, and they had this thing. So I don't know. I kind of liked that they delivered on some symbolism, and I really liked that it wasn't too spooky. So, any final thoughts before we grade this movie, Tyler?
I thought it was good. I thought, like you said, it's very much Guillermo del Toro, who I think is just like he's a master of making movies in general and like the cinematography and everything. I think like that shows, and like the effects look amazing, even though it is like it's a movie came out in 2001, so it'd be easy to have it. A lot of horror movies from that time I feel like don't hold up very well because it was right when the CG kind of started to pop, but it wasn't really good enough to really do it well enough to hold up long term. But the little bit of CG that I'm guessing, like I would assume that the boy, ghost boy, was all CG'd or something, and and they didn't like do the weird thing where they like, well, they filmed everything underwater with mirrors or something, but I thought it looked good. Like you said, the only part that really kind of threw me out of it and thought was goofy was when the piece of the car flew at the screen.
It always does. Same thing that happened to Mad Max Fury Road. We were like, oh, all right, we're okay.
I turned to Tiffany and said,
I
"You
wanna
just
know-
died."
Like, what movie sparked that? What was the movie that did that? And now it's like a thing that directors are like, oh, well, I got to throw this in my movie. Except it's never good.
I mean, we are professional movie critics. We should probably know that, right?
I figured that would have been another trivia, but this movie doesn't have a ton of trivia, I think partly because it's an international movie. and older. Well,
Yeah.
I was pretty set when I finished the movie. I was pretty sure I knew what grade it was, and I think I've changed my mind now. I think you have changed my mind on this one. I think I was riding the high of not being too scared, and I think I'm about to change my grade on it to a tiny bit lower.
What are you giving it?
I think this movie for me is a solid B plus. What about you?
I'm gonna give it an A. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie.
Stop.
I did.
You spent your whole rant talking about how you hated it.
I hated that it's not a horror movie. That people have always talked. You said it was a horror movie. Every person I've ever known that's watched, people who have seen this movie are like, "Oh, it's terrifying. It's so scary. It's so unsettling."
It sounds.
It's not a
When
horror
you
movie.
describe it as like, oh, well, it's in a different language, and it's there's a haunting and an orphanage. Like those are all very scary. Yeah. You're giving
But,
this one
like-
an A. I was gonna give it an A minus, and then I backed down, and now I feel bad.
Well, I wanted to give it an A minus, but I feel like I haven't given out an A for so long, and I feel like this is a good movie. That like if someone just said like, "Oh yeah, it's like," because I think it's only considered like a horror movie probably to international people, because I know one of the big reasons why these are both set in Spain, because I know this from Pan's Labyrinth, is like they're they're very superstitious and fairy tale focused and everything. Like that's a big thing in Spanish culture, at least probably in certain areas. I'm sure there's there's like there's like 14 countries inside of Spain, so who knows all of them. But in like the traditional Spanish countryside, they're very superstitious. They're very like all about fairy tales and all that. So this seems more like it was like I said, it's like the Goonies, but with the Spanish, like, oh, there's also a ghost here. But the ghost is, you think it's trying to hurt you, but it's really trying to warn you. Hey, this dude's messed up. He's going to kill you all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think I will stick with the A minus, just because the A is a little more sacred. But I am digging Guillermo. That's what we call him. I call him. I don't know what a nickname for Guillermo is.
Oh,
Give it
I
to me.
forget it.
Yeah, I know.
forget what it
It's gone now. I'm digging Guillermo del Toro's movies recently, and I just think that he is very good at picking. Like, he's one of the few directors I can think of that, like, it's obvious he had a vision for the movie, and this is exactly what his vision for the movie is.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah. Sometimes it's Guille or Memo. Some of the Spanish nicknames don't make any sense. Like Ezekiel, they'll go Cheque, which is a great nickname. And Jesus, they'll go Chuy, which also makes no sense. But it's fun. Like, I'm not mad about it. So Memo, which I think they might call him Memo in What We Do in the Shadows, I think, at one point.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So I'll do A minus. I'll
stick with the B plus. There were a couple bits and bops where I was like, dude, there should have been a better trap to get Jacinto down in the cellar than just, oh, I'm here, and then.
But I feel like even that, it's like, yeah, sure, that could have, but it's also like that plays into that's just the kind of, they knew he wouldn't just leave. Because he could have just left whenever he wanted to. Like, he was free to just leave. Like, even his two little buddies were like, there's no gold. And I almost expected there to be like, we're going to kill you. But they were just like, hey, can your like cousin put us up for like a few days while we figure this out? Like they were like, whatever, we can just leave. Like, he has been the driving force of these three dudes sticking around trying to get this gold.
Mean to his fiance.
Like, he's,
Conchita. I thought, I could have swore reading the subtitles it was Cochinita, which is like pig. I was like, oh my gosh, why is her name Pig? But no, it's not.
Yeah,
it's close. Well, I guess I'll just stick with the B minus, B plus. I do think it was very good. It was well done, and it had a lot of value to it, a lot of merit to the movie. Should it be an A minus? I don't know, Tyler. This is hard.
Well,
Reviewing movies, it ain't as easy as they say.
Yeah, I definitely feel like our rating systems are very different. You
I
know,
feel like for it to be an A, maybe I should have like loved it, you know, and I liked it a lot, but I don't know that I quite like loved it as a movie.
like
Part of that
A's.
comes down to taste, but it was very good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
for me, A's are movies that I would watch again, or like if someone's like, "Hey, I want to watch a movie. What should we watch?" And I could see a time where like, "Oh, let's watch this." Like where it's like, "Oh, someone wants to watch a spooky movie," and I'll bait and switch them, just like I was bait and switched. You know what I'm saying? Like, "Oh, let's watch this movie."
Yeah.
Really, it's just a historical drama movie, not which I love. You know what? That's another thing
Yeah.
is I feel like the fact that it's historical and about a time period and like an event in history that I'm interested in, I feel like bumps it up for me. Whereas I know you're a little tend to be a little less into the historical movies.
You keep saying that, but I do like them.
But
You
do
know?
you though?
I
'Cause you've
guess,
told
but for
me
me,
that
this wasn't
you're not.
about the Civil War, but it was set in the Civil War. You know,
Well-
and I feel like for you, it was like about it. But I didn't
Well,
feel like I learned anything about the Spanish Civil War, but it was like the backdrop for the movie. You know?
Yeah.
But
I
I thought it
mean-
was more so the backdrop that they were in an orphanage. You know?
It's about it in the way that like Grave of the Fireflies is about World War II.
Yeah.
It's World War II is the
Setting.
reason for their situation
Mm.
and like causes the tension in their situation, but it's not like the focus of the movie. So
Well, I'm gonna stick with it. A B plus, a very good movie, but not that scary. So if you're
Not
looking
that
for the
scary.
spooks and chills, you can do better.
but if you want all those fools that think this is a real scary movie to think that you're hardcore, then watch it and
Yeah,
say
that's true.
how much you loved it.
Lovely. Well, want to thank everyone for sticking in it and listening to us. You can share us and review us wherever you find your podcast. We're also on social media at Opinion Havers, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Once again, thanks for listening. And until next time, watch movies.
And have opinions. We didn't even talk about their like maid lady that tried to put out a gasoline fire with a handkerchief.
I love that she was just in like two random shots. She finds him in the broom closet, and then she's trying to put out a gas fire with a washcloth.
She's the hero they needed, you know what I'm
Tyler, let me run a scenario for you.
saying? Okay.
You walk into your kitchen, and there's a pile of gas cans on fire. You going towards or away from the gas can fire?
I mean, you know, in my mind, right? I gotta grab the thinnest tea towel we got and just start smacking at it. You know what I'm saying?
And the flame.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a scenario where, like, I guess maybe if you had a fire extinguisher already in your hands, you have a chance.
Yeah.
If that's not the case, you're done. You're done. You gotta bail.
Now I might
I will
run
say-
at it and like huck some. We got sprinklers. Huck something at the sprinkler. There you go. That's the real.
I do appreciate, everyone complains about movies that their explosions aren't realistic. This was just a gas explosion, so I mean, they kind of nailed it.
Yeah.
They found the loophole. Good job, Memo.